Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talks. Some more lockdown news. It's February the 19th, and let's take a look at this from Germany. Vaccine-poor Germans shunning AstraZeneca jab. It says here doctors and public health officials are pleading with Germans on Thursday to take up the AstraZeneca vaccines after muddled communication about the efficacy of the British-made jabs hit demand. German healthcare facilities have reported several 100,000 AstraZeneca vials sitting unused and rampant no-shows at scheduled appointments. Well, it's not surprising. They banned it for use for over 65s in Germany, as did France, and Switzerland have outright rejected the Oxford jab until they get better data. So, it's not surprising, is it, that Germans would be wary of it. Nearly 740,000 AstraZeneca doses have been delivered to Germany's 16 states, but only 107,000 have been used by Thursday, the Robert Koch Institute for Disease Control reported. In the state of Saxony, which has some of Germany's highest infection rates, more than 2,500 available appointments were going unfilled this week. So out of 740 doses, only 107,000 have been used. That's not much of a take-up, is it? And then we have this from the UK, from Manchester. Only half of COVID jab appointments are taken up at Mass Centre in Manchester. Mayor Andy Burnham calls for rollout to be expanded to younger adults, so doses just sitting in fridges don't get wasted. So like the German report, it seems they are not getting the turnout they were hoping for. It says here the Mayor of Greater Manchester warned COVID jabs are just sitting in fridges at the stadium's hub. He said current groups were choosing not to book at mass vaccine centres and were waiting for local clinics. And then it goes on to say Britain is in a race against time to get first doses to as many people as possible so lockdown can be eased. So it's hard to know what to make out of this. People are obviously not turning up in the numbers they were expecting, and they are guessing or hoping that it is because the people don't want to go to the centres and are waiting instead for their local clinics to give them the jab. Or maybe they just don't want to do it. That's a possibility. Of course, the mainstream media, they won't entertain that idea. And then we have the old Britain is in race against time mantra again in this article to get first doses to as many people as possible so lockdown can be eased. The old dangling the carrot in front of the donkey trick again. But if we look at this news, it seems that there is no intention of ending lockdown anytime soon. Look at this one here. Wage support. This is from this morning. Rishi Sunak set to extend furlough scheme and business rate relief until summer. The Chancellor is expected to extend the furlough scheme and business rate relief into summer in next month's budget. The government's coronavirus support programs are due to end in April, but Rishi Sunak will push the deadline back, reports the Financial Times. So again, this is one of these leaks to the media to prime the public of what will happen at a later date. It says here the government will pay 80% of wages up to $2,500 a month for furloughed workers until April the 30th, but it is now expected to be phased out from autumn. So by the sounds of that, that's throughout the summer, up until September. That is when autumn starts. So that just tells me that lockdowns in one way, shape or form are going to remain up until then at least. No surprise to a lot of you out there who follow this channel, but those that follow the yellow brick road might start to think, extending furlough to September? That's a long way off. Also leaked by the Financial Times is some form of online sales tax that they want to now introduce. So now that they've got you all sitting at home, the shops, shopping centres all going bust, all closed, all locked down, and you now having to shop online for most things, now they think to themselves, how can we exploit them again? Ah yes, an online shopping tax. Excellent idea. And the debt that will come from all of this furlough will bankrupt the country. I suppose then it will be, oh dear, we are in a right mess. We need to bring in universal basic income and a great reset. Maybe hand over power to the United Nations. Who knows what mess will come out of this? And then, of course, we have the usual fodder we see every day in every newspaper for every demographic, like this one in the Telegraph. When will pubs and restaurants open after lockdown? Which usually always ends with, when everybody's had their jab. So many donkey carrot stories, all promising you your freedom. Some saying you can maybe go on holiday in April, all pointing towards the outcome of the success of the jab rollout. But as you can see, furlough has been extended throughout the summer. So it looks like lockdown is not being planned to be eased at any time in the coming months, which is being echoed by Ireland. I mean, look at Ireland today in the news. Lockdown extension Ireland. 9 more weeks of severe lockdown. Taoiseach Michael Martin confirms. Exclusive, it says here. Michael Martin said when the government reveals its revised Living with COVID plan next week, there will be very few surprises. It seems Ireland have been in lockdown now forever. I mean, it looks like it's never going to come out of it, seeing that they want to adopt a zero COVID policy as well. And from what I've heard, the people of Ireland are completely in a state of psychosis from never-ending fear propaganda that they have been bombarded with 24/7 by their state-run television station RTE. From what I've heard, it's worse than the BBC. There seems to be also no kickback from the public whatsoever, or even any questioning as their government continues to shut the country down. Here we have in the Mirror. Lockdown extension Ireland. 9 more weeks of severe lockdown. Lockdown restrictions will remain in place for at least another 9 weeks until the end of April. In an exclusive interview with the Irish Mirror, Mr. Martin indicated that the reopening of the pubs and restaurants and personal services, such as hairdressers, may stay closed well beyond this date. Now in Ireland, the pub, for many a small town, is the social central hub of the town. It's the meeting place. It's the heart of the community. What all these small towns must now be like after all of this lockdown. It must be as dead as a dodo. The economy of Ireland has never been the strongest, and the effect of all of this is probably never going to be fixed. It'll never recover. And from all accounts, the people of Ireland are just sitting back, watching the television, and not too bothered. They are still cheering on the guards, their police, as they dance to Jerusalema on the Late Late Show, from what it sounds like, the same guards that have checkpoints up and down the country and are basically stopping you from travelling anywhere. From what it sounds a bit like England times 10 when it comes to people not asking questions or using critical thinking. Of course, this news of an additional 9 weeks lockdown is eased by this creepy looking Taoiseach. It says here, children returning to schools on a phased basis, beginning with junior and senior infants and leaving cert students is the priority. Oh, let me guess, will they have to have 2 tests a week as well, like they do now in the UK? We must follow the blueprints that have been set for us, yeah? However, he said, there is light ahead for the people with monthly vaccine doses of 1.2 million expected, and said it's going to be challenging for people. It's been a long lockdown already, and I would say to people, it's worth it. Really? Has it all been worth it? And of course, I would imagine the promise of freedom articles will appear in the Irish press when the jabs start to roll out in Ireland. So once again, here we have a Prime Minister telling the Irish public that there are more hard times and challenges ahead for the next 9 weeks, putting everyone under house arrest, closing businesses. Nobody can leave their house for more than 5 kilometres unless for essential reasons. Yet this Middle-earth Taoiseach, he can fly over to the USA to meet Joe Biden for St. Patrick's Day in 4 weeks' time. That's fine. That's obviously so important, of course. Diplomats are exempt from their own policy and also exempt from quarantine. So there you are. Okay, that's a quick roundup of this morning's news. Keep the faith, stay strong. Come and subscribe to hugotalks.com. It's the only place where I get to keep the subscribers. Here on YouTube, if I get cancelled, deplatformed, I lose all the subscribers. And if that happens, I want to keep this going. I don't want to let them win. So if you're going to subscribe, do it at hugotalks.com. Thanks to all of those who have subscribed so far, and I will see you later.